You hear a voice from the cockpit of the helicopter. We're about T-minus 2 hours out. One of the individuals come to know her a little bit. She is a member of the original paramilitary group, Blackfire Security, who now is essentially the foundation of 0 Hour. Kind of scowls as she looks over at all of you. All right. Suppose it's now or never. You got any questions about what's going on?
I suppose the most pertinent question would be, which one are we going to take care of?
Well, this one, she adjusts from where she's sitting on, which is essentially, she's sitting on a crate. Unfortunately, this helicopter is
Poorly equipped, apparently.
cranked. There's several individuals. By several, I mean 20, 30.
A lot.
A lot. And there's a lot of equipment that is also stored away on this. So, things are a little cozy, let's just put it like that. Well, by the reports that you've given, if we were to guess, this would be the little part that scampered off. Chased off by one of the wolves.
Survived all this time on its own. Damn.
Well, and somewhat of, I don't know if you call it poetic, Harry Potter, but the wolves are still dealing with it.
Their ancestor couldn't finish it. They can't finish it.
We can't finish it.
We have to finish it, though.
Yeah, Tinkerbell. We gotta finish this.
So, little part of scampered off. What are we talking about?
She pulls out. She points at a stack of vanilla folders. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little strike team. We're gonna go off into... The werewolves are gonna show us how to get there. We're gonna go off into their little wonderland. And take care of business. Folder contains some pertinent details. Dossiers on the individuals you're going to be dealing with. Your point of contact is Cedric Wallace. He's a little bit more level-headed than the others. These wolves aren't known for being level-headed.
That's not an understatement. I'm surprised they even called for help.
They didn't. Cedric did. Stated. That's why I'm already calling him the most level-headed of the bunch. Situation there is cantankerous at best. Now, this town, Frankfurt, it's a railroad town in the heartland of Indiana. So, good news is it's somewhat rural. People don't really use the railroads as they used to, so it's not business as usual, but it's not going to be as desolate as, let's say, DC was, or in some other locations. We're going to make contact. And hopefully we don't, hopefully unknowns don't cause a powder keg to explode. Which means I'm going to be keeping my mouth shut. She kind of adjusts. Does anybody take the folders?
Oh, was she handing them out? Yeah, I'll take.
But she doesn't hand them out. She kind of just gestured towards.
Ah. Yeah, Kalmir will get up and grab one.
Why don't you give us a small description of Kalmir?
All right. Well, he's kind of middle-aged, maybe late 30s, early 40s. He's got blue eyes and light brown skin, kind of graying in the hair, salt and pepper, very, very short beard with like a little part in his hair. He has a small scar above his left eye that kind of splits his eyebrow. And he's dressed fairly well, actually. He's got, kind of long sleeve dress shirt, white with cufflinks, gold, green tie, and a dark gray vest with some lighter gray patterning on it, and black slacks and some dark brown dress shoes. He is carrying a black lacquered cane with some silvering on the handle, and he's got a very large revolver. It's holstered on his left side backwards so he can draw with his right hand. And yeah, that's Kalmir.
As you kind of pour over the file, a lot of the preliminary stuff is stuff you were eyewitness to. It describes basically how this thing came to be. Then the next page is essentially a affidavit, a formal document from Cedric, stating that they encountered a fungal growth in a place that should not exist in the shadow. It was leaching from what appeared to be a massive wound. They talk about something called a host, a massive spider. Once again, you probably have a little bit of a better idea of what that might be than the others, just from prehistory.
Experience.
Yeah. And how once the spider was laid low, the fungus seeped in and took control. The rest of the pages are a quick rundown of the 3 alphas in the area. Vanessa, Tommy, and George. Tommy and Vanessa both being part of a group known as the Forsaken, supposedly a faction within the Werewolves, while George is known as one of the Pure, as they call themselves. It's just your basic, these people are in charge, they don't like each other, and here's a small list of the things that will set them off. Avoid these topics. Which, honestly, I know the next question is, well, what are some of these topics? The list, well, it states it does state this is a small list. We're talking about a page and a half of triggers, essentially, per individual. Basically, be on your best behavior and don't challenge authority.
Well, aren't they sensitive? This may not work out, you guys.
What are we talking?
Bunch of alpha males vying for dominance in the same pack. I
What about
suppose.
them, though?
Huh?
But what about them, though?
Basically says to play nice, otherwise they'll get all pissed off. Which is... Sure, I guess. Don't want to piss off the locals while we're trying to do our job for them. Their job. We're trying to do their job for them. Yes. But at least this one Cedric guy has enough sense to ask for help when it's needed. And they will need it.
Yeah, well, if rumours are to be believed, generally they're pretty good at looking out for themselves. And whatever's got them running scared, I'm worried it's... Well, just think about that.
Why don't you give us a little bit of a description of Jimmy?
Jimmy is a man out of time. A very much a picture of early 90s grunge. Dyed blonde hair, hangs over his eyes, constantly has headphones in, just about kind of hear the music kind of coming through. And everything is... Nothing he wears is particularly well fitted, or is most of it's oversized, like t-shirts, like 2 sizes too large. Big jacket, ripped jeans, heavy boots. And at the moment, kind of sitting back, spinning, holding a guitar, these sort of like turning on its axis. Little portable amp that he's got another foot on.
You know, if you wouldn't have brought that amp, we could have fit probably another box of ammunition.
Yeah, well, you don't need ammo from me, do you? All I need.
She kind of shakes her head. Another individual steps forward. I don't believe any of the 3 of you. You've heard him referenced before. It's only been called the Professor. He kind of steps forward. So, I have an ask. Unfortunately, by the time we were able to get to a certain location, certain samples were absconded with. So we're flying a little bit blind. And this thing has changed a lot. Even over the course of the last couple of years, when it first breached containment. This thing has sat in isolation for thousands of years. I need a sample. We're working from nothing. Seeing how it began is an invaluable resource. How you're going to do that kind of leans back against the side of the helicopter. That's going to be up to you, and, well, quite frankly, every form of containment has failed. Big ask, I know, but we're still kind of flying blind.
You wait for now. And I'm using backup.
Your internet died there.
Oh.
One of his frailties kicked in.
His internet's frailty kicked in. Seigheim, you've been somewhat quiet, so let's go ahead and touch base with you.
He is sitting quietly, listening to this briefing. I mean, at his heart, he's a soldier, so there's a time to speak up, and then there's a time to listen. As of now, he is listening, just running his hand down the blade, waiting to make landfall.
How's he dressed these days, now that his plate mail was disintegrated?
Well, I'm sure he can, this is a large organization, so we have acquired some new armor. Also a man out of time, not quite the 90s, but the 900s. Seigheim is probably one of the most out of place in this entire group, as he is dressed in archaic armor. How do I pronounce it? Sorry. Lamellar, basically scale mail. Chainmail running underneath it, kind of a half helmet sitting upon his head. Great sword rests in his lap, essentially, as you can't really sheath the great sword. Axe on his side, shield on his back. He's ready.
Also, probably one of the most dead-looking people.
Yes. What a little bit of skin is showing from underneath armor is pale, wretched, barely more than bone.
So, now we can't all go gallivanting into this location, so we've divided you all up. And who is the strike team that is heading in, so to speak?
Is that us?
Yes, that's you.
Yes.
Mr. Storyteller.
Yes, I suppose that would be us.
So, your job is to go in there, figure out what can be done. If you can deal with it yourself, then deal with it. If you can't deal with it, well, figure out how the rest of us can. The rest of us, we've got other duties. Because just as the more populous cities have these contagion forms moving through them, there's contagion forms on the other side, strange ones. So essentially, we're going to be keeping them off your back, essentially. That doesn't mean you're not going to encounter any, but we don't need all of them coalescing upon your location should you find something important.
at this point, I'm just going to start talking to myself.
What are you saying to yourself?
Is it anything important or just mumbling?
I'm running through. It's anyone that would care to listen. I mean, I can talk if you like,
Cliff notes.
but it's running through the plan, and I would like to the what's it called? Mastermind's Gambit. A contract which the changeling speaks aloud to himself, revealing his darkest fears and desires to the air. Weaves a concrete goal into his monologue, and his words turn into ideas and parchment. This instant action takes at least 5 minutes to complete. By the time he stops speaking, the changeling has created a plan pertinent to the goal that counts as equipment, granting a +5 bonus.
Right. That's 2 glamour.
It is. So question to the others. Do we want any friends along for this one as well? I can get mortals to do certain stuff.
Do we even have any mortals on this helicopter? There's probably like 3. One of them's in the cockpit, the other's sitting on that milk carton in the middle, and then the one maybe 2.
One is technically Awat is also immortal, technically. And Awat is there is another mortal that is in essentially a plexiglass case.
Whose
Okay.
question is how much glamour am I starting with as well?
You start off with max of Vitae, mana, glamour.
Cool. Glamour's the easy one to get back as well.
Yeah, I don't have anyone to bring along because I don't think we can fit. Like, I mean, I could like command a revenant to do it, but I don't think we have revenants sitting around on this helicopter. That'll be a acquired in-field kind of deal.
My dog's got his own seat. Her own seat.
Dog want to be a ghoul?
No.
Would you like an undead dog? I can give it some Vitae.
No, that's my dog. Don't touch my dog.
So no, I'll just keep it as the plan as a +5.
All right. Edmund shouts out. All right, everybody. Now, we're gonna land this sucker. There's not a real good LZ. We're gonna make do with what we can get. So just hold on. I probably didn't. What?
Didn't give your pilot any drive, so
He had drive.
going to fail his piloting role.
I think it was like 2 dexterity, right? I don't remember him being very dexterous.
I don't remember what his dexterity was.
I don't either. So we're just gonna go with this one.
Hey.
So. The helicopter touches down in what is essentially a feat. If you were to look at it on a GPS, you would see that this field has a church. So it has a way for you to get back to it, but it is somewhat isolated. It is right off of West Palmer Street. Rendezvous location is a park not too far away, known as the TPA Park. As everybody begins to unload, crates, whatever, it kind of begins to move about, doing what they need to do, leaving the three of you alone in the moonlight. Still early in the night.
Hours burn. We have a march ahead of us.
Where are we supposed to meet them again? Does it say in the folder, or we're just following the larger group?
This TPA Park.
TPA Park. All right.
Just because I like to give everybody map updates. Circle is where you guys landed. X is where you guys are heading.
Where are we looking at this?
Sending it in chat right now.
Okay. Am I blind? Now, presumably this is pointed out to us, so
Yeah.
Direction. That way we go.
That away. Why couldn't they just land us into TPA Park? Because it's more dramatic this way, I guess. Whatever.
The realistic answer for that is because there's trees. There's a lot of stuff actually in the way at TPA Park. It's not just a clear, wide open field. It's swing sets, petting zoos, stuff like that in there.
We also had like a cargo helicopter. They are not very maneuverable. They are not small vehicles. It's also like 5 minutes away. You can walk.
I guess.
There's going to be plenty of walking ahead.
To move on to Kiger Street and down Kiger Street, you hear nobody. You see nobody. The streets are dead. Which is something, unfortunately, probably have grown accustomed to. It isn't until you reach the village pantry that an individual finally comes into view. He motions towards the three of you.
I believe we're summoned.
All right. Were there pictures in the manila folder of who we're meeting? Is this one of them?
Yeah. Silver streaked hair, ember eyes, pretty deep lines in his face, a lot of scarring. More you would say probably more traditional attire. Something that you would see probably an older person wear. So like sweater vest. This is the individual known as Cedric. Good. I wanted to... 0 hour. I just want to make sure.
By association.
You know, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to pick you guys out of a crowd, but when somebody's walking down the street in full plate mail armor, you know, kind of, not necessarily a dead giveaway, but, you know, I would assume you're not part of the normal society.
I'm gonna kind of, crane my head, just like, like 45 degrees both ways, and just not say a word, searching for this normal society he mentions.
Well, I'm glad I was able to catch you. So, he offers up a box from underneath his arm. Been waiting here since they closed. They're a little stale now. Well, a couple hours. He offers a box of eclairs.
I'll tell you what.
Why not?
Indulge yourself a little bit of luxury.
So, what all do you know?
Little thing got away, might be bigger now. Someone wants a sample.
I don't know about a sample. I don't know if anybody around here is going to let you get away with one. We want to eviscerate the thing.
Very truth, mate. I'm with you on that.
Same.
He says as he's walking towards the TPA park. So, my job in this first segment is to introduce you. Make sure that you don't get your heads ripped off. And then be somewhat of a tour guide. The shadow. The Hissel is what we call it. I apologize, there's going to be occasional translations. Different language. We have our own.
I'm aware.
Oh, good. I'll be taking you on a tour, so to speak. I'll be taking you to... Well, we've just been calling them the tunnels.
Sounds charming.
Thankfully, there's a gate right above them. The gate, however, is also an old government facility now. Or was a government facility. Strange experiments and the like. Now, I need all three of you. It's gonna sound cliche. Keep your eyes down. Not be confrontational.
Elmer does chuckle a little.
These three.
Totally.
Yes, man that smells of dead flesh.
As long as they keep in line, there's no reason there we need to be confrontational. We're on the same hunt now.
Oh, they're gonna love you.
They're very particular about their hunts. I know that much about them. They think it's their hunt. And we're the interlopers.
I care not.
They can have it if they want.
This is just another hunt and adding on to 1,000 years of them.
No, I agree with you. I'm on your side. It's preposterous that they would try And he looks at Cedric that they would try to take this on by themselves.
If they wish to bar me from this, they can try.
They're also not going to be happy about a corpse that's talking.
I think my connection cut out. I didn't hear any of that, I'm going to be honest.
They're not going to be happy that a corpse is talking.
The corpse is not happy it's talking either. But here we stand regardless, so we all have to live with our lot.
Funny choice of words, Cedric says as he shrugs at the word living, or live. So, get you introduced. They're going to tell you they want you to do. Because they are somewhat aware that I have asked for help. But they're under the impression I've asked for other wolves to come in.
But you're clearly smarter than that.
Am I? He kind of raises an eyebrow as he looks back.
Yes. Yes, you are. I guarantee I could take out the entire pack by myself. But we're here to help. We're technically on your side.
He kind of smirks. Just realized we've been being trailed for the last 5 minutes.
Kalmir shrugs like he doesn't really care.
Ophelia, come on out. What just appears to be a wolf steps out of the shadows. When I say steps out, I mean almost literally steps out of the shadows. It's almost as if she was part of the shadow at first before she steps out. So she looks somewhat ethereal as she still moves out before becoming corporeal. She looks directly at Seigheim and emits a low growl.
You want to spark frenzy in a Humanities Zero Gangle? Go ahead, try.
Right now, Jimmy is just like fighting the urge to go, no, sit. So,
I mean, he was probably previously just resting the sword over, on his shoulder, and he will kind of, drop it at his side forward. If you want to growl at me, come on.
Everybody, cool down. She is this protectorate's spy, tracker, stalker, however you want to phrase it. She knows the layout of the area better than anybody. Reluctantly, she turns, kind of cocks her head at Kalmir. And as she turns to Jimmy, She still cocks her head, and you can see her ears lay back a little bit. Before she joins Cedric at his side.
Still in wolf form, I assume.
Yes. And that is when you begin to hear them conversing. Or you would assume it's conversing. The words from Cedric's mouth don't sound like any language Jimmy or Seigheim have ever heard. Kalmir, you're aware of First Tongue. You're aware that the communication's happening in the language. You probably don't know it, though.
I wouldn't say he's fluent in it. He probably catches a word here or there, but it's not his language of choice, clearly.
The only context you can maybe get is it does seem like they're debating.
I think we're a problem.
Are we still walking, or have we
Yeah.
Okay.
You would have thought he might have given the heads up that he's not actually calling in, another pack, other wolves. Are we dealing with an idiot?
Several. As I said, Cedric here is the only one with a brain on his head.
Yeah, and he didn't think to tell them any of the others that we might be joining. We might be different to what they're expecting.
I'm pretty sure they would have said no.
What is a saying people are fond of? Beg forgiveness, then ask permission.
Yes, he did the smart choice, called for help without asking, so he'll get the help he needs.
Whether or not they want it now, we are here.
In the meantime, we get attacked by an angry pack of feral wolves. Right,
Well,
there's feral and power.
You might.
Wolves are not bad prey. Though I would have brought a spear if I knew we were hunting them.
Would you like one?
I cannot quite carry another weapon at this moment. I brought a sword to hunt men, not a spear for animals.
Well, that's long enough. You can kind of spear with it.
Yes, of course. A wolf will still be felled in a strike, but you know what I mean.
I
Not
know
the preference.
It's not ideal for the job, I get you.
As you guys begin to enter into TPA Park proper, Cedric turns around as the wolf that he addressed as Ophelia continues on. So we're going to be heading to what was the pool, essentially. Kind of where we've been staging things out. Now, I didn't go into a whole lot of details. He kind of reaches his hands up and puts them on the back of his head. So, the situation. You have 3 alphas, as I mentioned. You have the pack that I belong to, the Crimson Willows. That's led by Tommy. You have another alpha, also in the Crimson Willows. Her name's Vanessa. She was part of the Glitterfangs. They were a pack a little bit up north. Tommy got her entire pack killed. There was a small relationship a summer romance between the two of them. For a while, that turned sour. They are, I don't want to say completely, there's not hatred between them, but there's animosity. Then you have George, a member of the Pure. Now, I don't know if your kind have differing sects, where one group blames the other for everything that's wrong with them, and the other one blames the other group for everything.
Well, we got something like this definitely wrong.
But basically, that's what the pure are to the Forsaken, and that's what the Forsaken are to the pure. We have different ideas on how something happened in our very, very distant past. Each side blames the other. So, we have what's called a protectorate here, which is packs putting aside differences and trying to work together. That has led to some friction. We already have a little intermingling, but now we've brought in a pure.
Is that going to be a problem for us?
Well, you're not human, so the pure isn't going to immediately think that you're dog crap. So, I mean, you're starting off on a little bit of a better foot with him than if you were human. Kind of looks at Kalmir. I'm assuming you're not human.
Assume if you like.
Something that smells off about you. Can't quite put my finger on it. Him, I can tell he's a corpse. Kind of eyes Jimmy. Something's off. Again, can't quite place it. As if something was taken and replaced.
Like that. Just think of me as like music given form. Hear me more than you see me. It's a strange thing to get your head around.
So, anything else before I introduce you? This has got to be fun. You see him kind of adjust his head. Ah, yes, they're already yelling at each other. If anybody wants to roll perception.
Or
Do I get a
Roll first
bonus
roll.
hearing as a vampire? I think I do, right?
probably.
I know I get a bonus to like smelling and hearing, like heartbeats, but I don't know if
1.
1.
Okay, it doesn't give me a direct answer, so I'll just gonna roll a flat. Whatever. This is actually that important.
Very faintly, you can hear raised voices. You can't make out what they're saying. But you do hear some sort of discussion. And the voices do seem elevated and strained.
I'll do him.
It's probably Ophelia telling them exactly who's incoming right now.
Kids that would make an impression, right?
He gestures and leads you through the park. The pool is at the back end from the direction you came. The pools seem to have been drained of water, having not seen any use. And roughly about 15 individuals stand there. very, very much staring up as the four of you enter. The three individuals. One looks like your classic Southern belle. Blonde hair, light curls, blue eyes. Hair goes down to roughly the middle of her back. Petite frame. Another one, more athletic in build. Hair cropped short. Hair snow white, despite her only looking to be maybe 20, 30 at most. And then another individual, taller male, looking to be probably 40, 50. His hair completely silver. But not the same type of silver that you see on an old person. Like, his hair almost shines like metal. And he's the first one that speaks up. So, do we dismember him now, or do we give him a chance to explain himself for bringing outsiders in? The athletic woman goes, okay. You got about 3 seconds before we put everybody, all 4 of you, 6 feet under. Give us one reason not to.
I'm more powerful than you.
You see a slight smirk on her face, and she steps forward. You really want to put that to the test?
I'd say, in this moment, right here, right now, you can try and do your worst. See how far you go with that. You know what I'm invoking, don't you?
Are you invoking the
Royal Court?
He's invoking the Fun Police contract.
I'm invoking the Fun Police.
Go ahead. What?
Cool.
Which contract is this?
It's called the Royal Court. So I don't think I've got time to make the 5-minute speech. So I'm probably going to have to spend the quite hefty glamour and a point of willpower. Ugh.
You have 100 glamour. It is not quite hefty.
I've got 20.
At Weird 5?
Well, no, the
Weird
boxes
10?
only go up. The boxes only go up to 20.
Yeah, but you still have 100.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to make an actual note of this, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I've got 95, right, and a point of willpower.
Yeah, I just have it on, like in my specializations. That's where I keep track.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, no, at the boxes do not expand. To be fair, that would be a formatting nightmare.
I'm not clicking 100 box.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
For the audience, what does that do?
It forbids to make it a very quick version. It's forbid violence from breaking out in a mediated gathering.
She kind of snarls. Why is it so hard to take the middle form?
Can, but it tends to backfire. So, yeah. Either we sit down and we talk about this like a group of adults, which I will, for the sake of you, pretend to be. Or we just stand here in a stalemate. You can't do anything. We go nowhere. And this carries on until the world as we know it burns even further. What's it going to be?
The fact you think there still is a world is comical.
Oh no, I'm fully aware. I'm just waiting for the rubble to burn down.
She looks directly at Kalmir. I'll put you in the ground later.
You're welcome to try.
So, kind of gestures. Since now there's a force forbidding violence, I don't know how that would feel to Kalmir. I'm sure Kalmir could sense it too.
Yeah.
So, I think it's just any damage is just inflicted on the user. Let me double check that.
So it only applies to you?
Ooh, right then.
It's
Hold
probably
on,
whoever does the damage has it done back.
Yeah, I think it is. I will just double check that. 131. It's...
I can't wait for the death rage to start popping.
If anyone present is under a supernatural, none of the people gathered can inflict bodily harm on another. So,
Just can't be done.
If anyone's present is under a supernatural coercion to commit violence, there's a clash of wills between whoever's between the changeling and the force behind the coercion. This contract does not stop violence if it has already started.
Violence has not started. The next person that speaks is a very young girl. You probably wouldn't put her past early 20s. She appears mixed. At least somewhat Native American. For those of you that would understand what Native American is, I'm not sure if Seigheim or Kalmir would.
Why not?
I don't know how extensively they've traveled.
A fair bit.
I mean, Kalmir is like sane enough to use the internet. Like, he probably read up on a history book. Like, I haven't.
She goes, well, why don't the three of you come down and get acquainted with everybody.
Certainly.
Takes a few moments. You get to know the individual in the wheelchair, known as Jackson. You meet Ophelia again, but this time in a human form. It seems to be heavily forsaken rather than pure. The pure seem to be fewer in numbers in this protectorate, as it keeps getting called. So, Tommy kind of lays out a poorly, and I mean poorly drawn map. So these are the tunnels that we know of. There's thousands of them, all different branching. We've mapped out the one that we specifically know leads down into the wound. Kind of looks up. Do I have to explain what a wound is?
Portal to another dimension. Plenty of them.
I guess that's quick and dirty enough. Well, this dimension is nothing but pain and suffering.
Ah, I've seen my fair share.
Whatever's down there, the the words it spoke before we booked it out because we were already injured from fighting the spinner hag. Whereas we are the Contagion. Now, I'm not necessarily a betting individual. Okay, maybe I am. But everything that's going on out here, that thing claiming that it's the Contagion, does seem like it lines up. So we were gonna go on another little jog down there. However, the spinner hag has unfortunately not remanifested, but she's back. Or at least her minions are. So we're wading waist deep through spiders again.
Have you tried a flamethrower?
We had military-grade equipment out here. Well, we still probably wouldn't use it. But certainly would be better. The best flamethrower we got here is a lighter and a can of hairspray. But when you're dealing with spiders the size of cars, that doesn't quite cut it. So I guess you're more interested in what's down below.
We want the core, yes.
I guess we're killing spiders for you. Here's our deal. Whatever you find down there, kill it. I don't care how. I don't even... No trophies, no nothing. We want it eviscerated. We want it purged. That's the only way the shadow here is going to start to heal. And if you come across any spiders, squish them.
It seems we are at an agreement in our wish to unexist this thing. That much, at least, we can agree on.
She gestures to a phone. Turns it on. Pulls up Google Maps. Alright. So, you're not like us. You're gonna struggle to get in and out. Thankfully, there's a location right here. Perhaps on a space that's not too far away. This is a government facility. I don't know what they were doing there, but they tore a hole open. It's infested with spiders, however, that's going to be your entry point and your exit point. You go in there, you come out there, or you die in the shadow.
A simple plan, but effective.
You have just finished listening to this week's episode of the Contagion Chronicle, The World Plague, the conclusion to the Domain Gaming's Contagion Anthology, written and told by Wyverian. A special thanks to you, the listener, and if you wish to continue supporting us, subscribe, like, and share. As always, comments are welcomed. Until the next chapter, don't stop asking yourself, what is this plague that invades both body and mind?